in here. All of our aldermen are here present. Mr. Youngblood, can you hear us on the phone?
I can.
All right, great. Thank you for participating. We'll get right to it, guys. We got to talk about the budget. At last meeting, I suggested that there were two really main issues apart from whether or not you have particular line item edits to suggest to the budget. The first one being the tax levy, what we needed to do in terms of adopting a tax levy and at what rate. And then the second issue I thought important was if we were going to give raises to city employees this year, how much would those, assuming we did, how much would those raises be? And whether they would be across the board as we have done in prior years based on some merit or some hybrid combination of those two. So that's kind of, I think, where we left it last time. And I'll open the floor for any discussion that any of you have.
Millage may be the first thing we need to tackle, and that solves all the rest of the problems. I don't know.
All right, well, if y'all want to talk about millage first, we can certainly do that. What are y'all's suggestions? We're sitting at 12 mills right now. Tim, Mr. Youngblood, as I recall correctly, 1 mill is projected to be worth $175,000.
Let's see. Yes, sir. 175, 400, give or take. Now remember, there's still preliminary tax roll.
Right.
Tax roll finalized for 2 weeks.
That's right. Okay.
So it's subject to change.
And in actuality, our budget as proposed now is about $700,000 in the red. So that's the information that we have.
I thought it was 500.
I'm sorry?
I thought it was 500. Am I wrong?
Well, I'm looking at Tim's projected budget date 8/3/26, and it says without the reimbursement, which is sort of some money moving around shenanigans, the deficit would be 694, 794. So I rounded it to 700.
Yep, that's correct.
And that of course includes a 3% cost of living adjustment across the board. All right, so y'all want to make an debate tax levy? Somebody have a motion to adopt the tax levy at a certain percentage?
How many mills would it take to clear that up? I don't have a calculator.
It would take, well, for every two, it would be 350. So it would take 4 mil increase to erase that 700,000.
That would be my motion.
All right, Mr. Taylor has made a motion to increase the millage to 16 mills.
I'll second that motion.
Ms. Campbell seconded that motion.
I'd like to make a motion, sir.
All right, Mr. Powell wants to make a motion.
Yes, sir. My motion is that we stay at the 12 mil rate.
All right, Mr. Powell says stay at 12 mills. Is there a second on his motion?
I'll second.
Mr. Williams seconded his motion. All right, we'll take Mr. Taylor's motion first to increase the millage to 16. We're not to adopt the millage tonight.
Yeah, I was gonna interject that we still have to have a public hearing.
Yeah, we need to have a public hearing. Okay.
So this is preliminary.
This is
discussion.
preliminary. We need to have
Yes,
a,
sir.
so we really can't take action per se, but
Just to see where everybody.
Game plan.
we're game planning for next time. So,
I have a question.
Yes.
So if we don't raise taxes, so most of y'all are okay with staying at a deficit?
We already did it last year.
We should have been. We should have.
As far as in the, I guess I call it our rainy day fund, in a sense, it's not really that, but what's the money that's sitting right there that we're sitting on?
the bank balance
Since
right
we,
now in the operating account is 3.7 billion.
You know, for me, I just find it hard when we're just still sitting on money, to raise taxes on the citizens, when it's not needed at the moment. So,
I can see that, but also what worries me is these black swan events. We don't know, it's not predictable. Tornado through Gluckstadt, City Hall burn. I mean, it could be anything. Another COVID bout, you know? So, anyway.
that's extreme for me, but, I see that, we got new businesses coming in that aren't on the tax roll yet. We've got new businesses that are building that are gonna be, do I know?
What new business is coming in?
Well, we got Dean Albin that's coming.
So
We
we're
got,
gonna approve that on Tuesday?
we'll be up for discussion.
Because, I mean, you denied Taco Bell, you denied fireworks,
Actually, Taco Bell's not denied. They're coming to Bloxville.
you didn't vote for it.
Well, I did not vote for it. I didn't want to put it in my backyard. I want it in my
Well,
backyard.
I mean, you just, we are constantly, some of us are constantly denying things, but yet we don't wanna raise anything. We're in a deficit, we've been in a deficit, y'all were supposed to raise it when we became a city. Cause apparently that's what y'all promised the judge, and that never happened.
There was discussion that in our third year to bring it to 14 mil tax rate.
According to me, y'all didn't want to do that because it was an election year.
Well, it doesn't matter, regardless of what kind of year it is. Once again, we're sitting on a surplus of money. We have businesses that are coming into Gluckstadt. We got other ones that are opening. Our revenues are going up. And last time, I think every person that sat in here agreed with me.
No,
Yeah.
100%, they're just the
Well,
ones that spoke up.
Oh, I got you. Well, since they clapped when I got through talking about it, I think I'll speak again that it's not time to raise the tax rate.
So we have 3 million in the budget. What's supposed to be in the budget? I mean, in the bank account, what's supposed to be in there no matter what?
Well, there's no set requirement that you keep money in your bank account, but
I thought it was
It's
like 3 months of
Oh,
revenue
million.
expenditure.
Yeah, just for rainy day.
well, that's not a legal requirement. I mean, it's what's suggested, of course, but I would just add this, and that is this, just because you have the money in the bank shouldn't be viewed in essence as a negative. The fact that we have 3.7 million in the bank allows us to leverage other funds that we get for free from the city, that we can use to match grants and things like that. So I understand the concept that people think, well, you've got our tax money in the bank, you're not using it, but that's really not true. We really can leverage that money. But with that said, I don't want us to get in the back and forth here, fussing with each other. I think Mr. Powell made his position clear. I think Ms. Campbell has made her position clear. And I might be wrong, but I don't see either of you changing each other's mind here back and forth. I think Mr. Williams is on record, Mr. Taylor's on record. If we were gonna vote today, which I think, I don't wanna put Ms. Bates unnecessarily on the spot here, but it appears to me that you hold the deciding vote, and if you're prepared to let us all know whether or how you would vote on either of these, or if you had another motion, I'd ask you to let me know that only because we need to do some planning between now and September 1st so that we have everything in place to properly adopt the budget. So you find yourself, Ms. Bates, in the position of
I
having
would
to
not
decide.
be in favor of 4 mil increase. Now, what I would be in favor of is a millage increase that is strictly designated for the police department building.
Okay.
Didn't we discuss that last year?
Let's talk first about a number. Do you have a number? If not to 16 mills, if not 12 mills, what millage would you suggest?
I would say 2 designated for the police department.
I'm sorry?
2
Okay, so you would,
designated for the police department building.
now, let's talk about in effect, dedicating those funds. You guys control how the money's spent. So if you pass a 2 mil increase, think you want to be in a position of handcuffing yourself as to how you necessarily want to spend the funds. But by adopting the budget, you're dedicating where the money is spent. If you, for instance, raised another $350,000, it goes into the revenue side of this thing. We're gonna pay the debt service on the police department, which is, I'm assuming what you're talking about, whether you, adopt a millage increase or not. I mean, it's gonna get paid. But I understand conceptually what you're saying is you would raise it with an eye towards offsetting at least some of the debt service. Would you basically be paying for half the debt service with the 2 mil increase? That's about right, huh, Tim?
Let's see, give or take the payment each year on that $640,000.
Okay, so 640 is a debt service. You'd be raising about 350 with a 2 mil increase. Okay, so you know what I asked you to do, and I appreciate that. Sounds like Ms. Bates would be in favor of a 2 mil increase. The question then is whether or not there are two others of you seeing the lay of the land that would be in agreement with that. Again, I ask that because we really need to give these folks some direction going forward, because on September 1st, it's got to all be done.
So I would not be opposed to that if it's designated specifically for, and I thought, that we've been told before that it could be designated for a specific thing and even for a specific time frame, if you wanted it for.
Tim, how would we do that? If they want to quote unquote designate those 2 mills for the police department, talk us through that.
Well, remember, that's technically, I believe that's a legal question, but you would adopt a tax levy that in total is 14 mills. You would designate 12 of it to be for general fund or general purposes, and you designate 2 as debt service or debt service fund. And when you collect it, it would go straight to that debt service payment fund, or maybe not straight, it might pass through the general fund. But if you designated it that way, 12 mills for the general fund, 2 mills each year to apply to go to the debt service funds to go toward that $640,000 payment.
Would that require us to open up another bank account to put that money in? No.
No.
Not to my knowledge.
It seems to me that frees up 350,000 that was gonna go there. And now can be used for other purposes, so.
I mean, the money's all in one.
That's
pot.
what I thought.
The money's all in one pot, you know.
Well,
We just don't want to go into salaries or something along those lines. I think, where I'm thinking.
To be clear, we transfer that money, we always get your approval ahead of time that we're gonna transfer the full amount from the general fund to that proper debt service payment fund, repayment fund, pay it out, back down, and we do that every year. So we would have to come to y'all and tell you we're about to transfer this money.
Well, if we're gonna do it based on the 2 mills on the police department, should we just not add 1 more for Bear Creek? Because that's gonna be a higher payment each month.
Bear Creek was what, 100 in all?
I'm sorry.
Bear Creek was 100 in all?
I need to pull some, I'll have to pull the stats on it. I think so, but I don't wanna speak without double
Well, it's in this budget, isn't it? Do we have, Tim, do we have a projection in this budget for moving the operation to Bear Creek?
Well, we do, but it's not for the full year, so you can't just glance at a number and go, there's your Bear Creek number.
I got you. Show me where it is, Tim.
It's, let's see, I'm looking at a spreadsheet on the screen. It's departments, general admin, which should be, give or take, page 32 or 33, I believe, of the document that you have.
Okay.
And you'll see a lot of notes under contractual services that are highlighted green with, well, I don't know if you've got a color copy,
We do.
but,
We do.
okay. Well, I don't have the I'm just like, I'm like Lindsay, I don't have the Bear Creek numbers right in front of me, but I can pull them up.
For all the notes that say PC or affiliates, it's gonna be utilities, rent, or, you know, lease to purchase rent. All that's in that budget, the total.
Yeah, right now, what I'm looking at, this is probably,
I'm looking at page 34. Is that where you are, Tim? Building.
I believe, yes, sir. You'll see building rent, and then off to the side, you'll see some calculations that show staying in City Hall for a while, moving Public Works to Bear Creek, things like that. But I'm looking at a building cost comparison that was done back in the spring. It's a few spreadsheets and just building rent, for instance. Lindsay, see if these numbers ring a bell. City Hall, give or take, for 12-month payment is about $120,000. Averages in round numbers, $10,000 a month. Lone Wolf, total of about $40,000
Correct.
a year, so that's 160. Bear Creek, it looks like the payment there would amount to about 186. So that's not a huge difference, but there's a difference in utilities costs. There's a potential difference in insurance costs.
Build out of the boardroom.
And then you've got in theory at least, you call it a one-time cost to, we'll call it renovate Bear Creek, or at least get it to the standard such that you want relative to City Hall function. There's not a drastic difference.
Tim, I'm looking at this line 34 here. You've got Bear Creek Administration Building and Public Works at $15,500 a month. And we're paying for this building and Lone Wolf now, what, 10? That's what, about 10?
No, 12.
12?
More like 12. It's 9 plus versus 3,000.
Okay. So we're going essentially, at that rate, we're talking about $36,000, $40,000 more, not including build out, additional expense, insurance expenses, et cetera. So that gives you kind of a ballpark figure.
Right. There is a difference. The Bear Creek facility would cost you more than Lone Wolf and City Hall combined, but I don't even think it would approach $1 million.
Okay.
I don't think it would approach a $175,000 difference.
Okay, so assuming that, and I get your point, I get what you're saying is that you would perhaps agree to go to 14 mils with the stated intention of using that to at least partially offset the debt service on the police department building.
Do we know, excuse me, Mayor, do we know how much longer in the loan or in the payments for the police station? How many more years?
15 years.
Yeah, 15. I think we've only made 3.
Yeah, it's like,
This will be 3. Yeah, you got at least 12 more.
So if we pay an extra $350, which is over half, and I assume it's basic interest, we could pay it off in 7 years, 6 years. Am I math right?
I think we have to wait, like, is it 4 or 5 years?
Yeah.
But you're not talking about generating an extra $350 to pay on it. You're just
You're just
looking to
offsetting the
fund
640.
part of the unfunded payment that you already committed to 3 years ago.
I apologize. I thought we were paying above and beyond.
We can eventually.
You're still gonna make a $640,000 payment. This, 2 mils just helps your budget to not be so far in the red every year.
Understood. Thank you.
I just think something's gotta give sooner rather than later. If we just increase the millage to a solid number, that we wouldn't have to be in this position again.
Well, let me ask this to try to bring this to a head. If assuming Ms. Bates made a motion to increase it to 14 mils with the understanding that those funds would be utilized to offset the debt service, what's that vote gonna look like? Who's in favor?
Well, for me, after speaking to constituents and to business owners in the city of Gluckstadt, and with their approval, I would do no more than 14.
So you would be yay
I
on
would be a
14,
yes, sir.
Mr. Taylor?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Taylor would be yay on 14, Ms. Campbell, Mr. Williams.
Yeah.
All right, so it sounds to me like we would be reasonable to go forward, Mr. Youngblood, under the assumption that we're gonna adopt a 14 mil tax levy on September the 1st. Is that the date?
It has to be adopted by September 15th.
Adopted by, oh, do we have a meeting set for September 1st?
Yeah, we have to have the public hearing first. After tonight.
What's the day we're gonna vote to adopt it?
I'll look right.
That's September 1.
Yeah.
That's the date of, that's, at this point, that's the date of the public hearing on the budget and the tax levy. And on that date, you would adopt the tax levy, then come back 1 week later to adopt the budget.
Okay, so,
That's totally the way you have to do it. Now, let's back up though in time. We're sitting here on the 6th. That September 1st meeting has to be noticed twice in the 2 weeks prior to the September 1st date. So in order to publish a notice that references we're discussing 14 mills, that has to go to the newspaper on August the 18th. So that's the date that you're really looking at.
okay, and if I recall correctly from past years, we can legally notice it with language, something to the extent of not to exceed
Yeah.
14 mils, not to exceed 16 mils, to give the board some discretion at the meeting, right?
Some discretion at the hearing itself. Yes, sir. That's my understanding. Again, that's technically a legal question, but I agree with you.
All right, so here's what my plan is that we'll ask Mr. Scanlon to work under the assumption that 14 mills is going to be seriously considered on September the 1st to publish to cover for that adoption. And other thing I would ask you is if between now and you said August 18th, Tim?
Yes.
Right.
If between now and August 18th, any of you decide you can't take the position that you've indicated you're likely to take, to let us know so that we can be prepared for that prior to September the 1st.
We're starting to get into some statutory timeframes where we're very limited.
Okay. All right, anything else on tax millage? All right, the second thing that I thought was important was raises, whether or not we were gonna give city employees raises, and assuming the answer to that question is yes, how that would be done, whether it be across the board, whether it be based on some individual merit for each employee or some combination of those two. So open the floor for the discussion of that.
I think it should be a combination of the two.
You have a proposal.
Not necessarily, but that's just kind of where I stand on whether it's merit-based or flat across the board. I think it should be a mixture of the two. If we go above and beyond, it should be based on, their merit and their evaluations.
So do I hear you to basically say, work from the default position that everybody's gonna get a 3% across the board cost of living raise? And then if anybody wanted to go above that, that we do that based individually based on merit? Okay,
Is this budget reflects the 3%?
this
Yes,
budget
ma'am.
reflects 3% across the board, yes?
Correct.
I was thinking that we need that.
Okay, so that's, Ms. Campbell made such a suggestion, and, again, that's not something that we necessarily
Right.
would vote on tonight, right?
What I would ask is if there's any job performance considerations that they're discussed in executive session, so y'all can kind of land on some numbers so that we can prepare the budget going forward with whatever ratings they're
Well,
going
I got I think an additional recommendation, but before I get to that, Well, now's a good time, I guess, to at least mention that. My idea is that if there are individual employees in any given department who a department head believes should get more than the 3%, that we should first defer to the department heads, let them bring that issue to us and advocate for them. And I guess equally is true, if they believe that we have an employee who is not entitled to the 3% across the board, that they should bring that to our attention too. I certainly don't micromanage what every department head does, but these guys are in a better position, I think, to make those calls. And so if we do ultimately adopt that, my direction to the department heads would be, for every one of your employees, are they gonna get 3%? They're gonna get less than 3%? They're gonna get more than 3%? What is your recommendation and why? And you'd have to bring that to the board so that they can consider that all, of course, in executive session.
Yeah, I think they're prepared to do that tonight if y'all are amenable to it.
Okay?
With details, not just one sentence.
Yes. Y'all prepared to do that tonight?
Not with details.
No, not with detail.
Well, we could do, whoever is here, we could do their departments tonight.
Tim, let me ask you this question. 3%, help me do the math real quick.
Sure.
In terms of our 3% across the board, personnel, services, we're talking about, it looks like a $200,000 increase in personnel services from last budget to this one?
On, just strictly on the 3% on cost of living,
Yes.
it'll cost the city about $90,000. Give or take, every percent cost of living is gonna have you go up by $30,000.
Okay, so 3% costs the city $90,000. So
Right.
if there were, significant number of employees who were brought that said, well, I think somebody ought to get 5. If we doubled it, we're talking about $180,000 in terms of.
Correct. Five would be 150, 6% would be 180, so on and so forth. Right.
So in a budget where we're gonna spend $8.2 million, you see comparatively how small of a number we're really talking about when all the dust settles. All right, so that's kind of a good discussion about Ms. Campbell and Mr. Taylor's suggestion that we use some hybrid between a cost of living increase and a merit-based adjustment to that. Is there any other suggestion that we want to talk about in terms of raises? All right, so it sounds like then for every department head who's here, between now and the next meeting, we're gonna have some.
We're prepared if you want to go ahead and get
Okay, is everybody prepared?
everybody.
We're gonna talk about every employee in the city now, okay? All right,
Executive session?
Yeah, I was gonna fix that.
If it's job components related, yes.
Well, I mean, we got.
Yeah, because remember, Mayor, at this point, you don't have, there is not a next budget workshop.
Right.
As scheduled.
that's right.
We got the performance evaluations in the email already.
Okay. All right, so if we're gonna discuss every city employee at this time, there's nothing else on our agenda. So we need to then go into closed session in order to do that, because we'll have to go into executive session. So is there a motion at this time for us to enter into closed session?
I have a question. Fire department, we're keen to the in-house executive.
I'm sorry, go ahead,
Y'all
John.
have any questions for the fire department?
Any questions of the chief, Davis? No, sir. Thank y'all for coming. All right, is there a motion then for us to enter into closed session? Motion. Mr. Taylor made the motion. Is there a second?
Second.
That was Mr. Williams, second. All in favor? Any opposed? All right, we're in closed session.